Hey everyone, my name is Carmelo and this is Fingers of Fury. So today I'm going to be going over the Baby Boss. This is my most popular product by far, and I just want to do an overview of it. I've been selling this for over a year now, and it's a super simple tool obviously, but I think because of its minimalistic design, there might be some uses that people might overlook, so I want to go over it. So I've got to start out all these overview videos just going over why I use aluminum, because at least right now as I take this video, I'm the only one making portable hangboards or any finger training product for climbers out of aluminum. And so the basics are I machine these out of aluminum and then I texture them. So it's actually a better texture than wood. Again, I've sold hundreds of these now, so I'm really confident that people are enjoying them. The radius won't catch on your skin anywhere near as much as wood, plastic, anything else out there. So for one, the feel is nice. It's washable, much more than anything else out there. So again, you know, you can't, with soap and water, wash wood. You might get away with it on plastic, but 3D printed plastic is usually not porous, but it's hollow on the inside. So if you get any water in there, it's kind of gross. So it's more washable. It's stronger than anything else out there, but the real reason is integrating this eyelet in here. So obviously it's centered from side to side, and then it biases forward from front to back. And that's super important. If you have something like this isn't perfectly centered. It just hangs down, obviously. And then some people will bring this around here. And so you're changing where that pull is happening. So it might twist like this, it might twist like this, depending on where you mount it. With this, I experimented early on in my prototyping stage where it was nice to have this, where it's pretty much parallel with the ground. So it's a nice even pull every time. And then, you know, a design like this, there's nothing wrong with it. This is my personal block, and I used it for a long time. It was fine, but you can see here, the difference is huge. So short climbers especially are going to appreciate this. You can see a lot of videos of shorter climbers. They're gonna stand, you know, I'm gonna be off of camera for a bit, but you're gonna put blocks or anything underneath your feet in order to pull off the ground. Here, you can't mount a carabiner until about right here is the lowest point. And again, that's why you see people put it over the back. So that's the main reason, is it's more consistent, it's the same every time, and then it's much smaller. And then again, this has different edges in here. There's no real point of a mono and a 2-finger hold here, or the different edge depths, because you can do different amounts of fingers in this all the way down to a mono. So you get that. And then there's different ways that you might use this, but I see a lot of people, they'll take a plate like this and they'll step on it and they'll add a device like this. This is a force board by Pitch 6. So this would add some additional length. I'm 6 feet tall, so it's not a super huge problem, but even at 6 feet tall, I do find it nice to have something that's a much shorter length, particularly for taller people. It's not so much on the lifting up, it's on the pulling down. So since we're tall, we're higher up. So if you're gonna attach this to a pull-up bar, or I like to attach it to a lat pull-down machine, I wasn't able to do that on anything that had a string because it was just a little bit too tall. The lat pull-down machine I have at home isn't very tall height-wise, so my arm would reach so high up that the beginning of the pull I'd already be at like 90 degrees. So that didn't work well. So those are the big reasons why I started with aluminum. And I think demonstrating that, you know, when I go to pull, it's the minimum amount of distance here to lift off of the ground. So again, you're gonna see a lot of videos on Instagram and YouTube and stuff of people using different products. And you know, if you're shorter than the stack up height of all these things together, I can't help you much beyond where I've already designed it, because this is like the minimum length. And if you get a small carabiner like this, that's about the best you can do. But again, this is gonna give you your best chance on not having to stand on something, which isn't particularly safe when you're lifting your maximum lift. So hope that's understandable. Okay, so I wanna go over the uses of the Baby Boss. And before I do that, I wanted to display how I use the inserts that can be put in this. And just to note, this is actually, I think, the first Baby Boss ever made. Back when I first started making them, they were actually 19 millimeters and there was no 20 engraved on the inside, but you can get an idea of what one will look like after, over a year of use. And so these are 3mm inserts that you can purchase, and they just go in like this. You just press them in. So it's actually super easy to use or put in with one hand. And then there's this opening here for your fingers to get in, and you can just pull them out. Also, I put them in, again, you can see how easy it is. You can just hit them, usually is enough. That one need a little bit extra. But so that's 3mm at a time. And you can fit 4 of these in a Baby Boss, and I sell those in packs. And then I'm going to show this. I'm curious to hear people's thoughts on it. This is printed in PLA, so I bet if I went like this, I could snap it in half. This is a prototype when I'm taking this video, but I've been thinking about offering these in both for the Baby Boss and the Zod. Same thing, you place it in there, and what that does is now you have a variable size edge. So again, this is a 19mm Baby Boss. But the production ones now are 20mm, so you'd get a little bit more edge depth on one of those 20mm Baby Bosses. So what this does is your 2 middle fingers are going to get to be able to go a little bit deeper, while your pinky and your pointer finger are not. And this is something that Lattice pioneered during this whole ergonomic revolution, let's call it. So not everyone loves this edge. Some people prefer the rounded or stepped edge like the Zod, but this is an option. So what's cool about this design is it can be placed into a flat edge. Myself personally, I prefer a flat edge for most of my training. I still do use the Zod, the ergonomic edge, and I go over some of my uses for that in the video. But again, I still love going to a pretty standard, 19 to 20mm flat edge. So it is cool to be able to place this in there sometimes for, to change it up sometimes. So again, those are my inserts. That's how they work and how you use it. I do sell a pouch that, you can put these in a pocket, but I make a nice little pouch, or I don't make it, but they're made here in New England that can hold, carabiner, the Baby Boss, the sling, and your inserts all together so they're not loose in a pack. So that's how this works. All right, so we've gone over why it's aluminum and how you use the inserts. So we'll go over some of the things you can do with it. Again, super straightforward, but I just want to make sure everyone knows. I'm taking this video obviously by myself, so I apologize that it's slightly out of view right now. But so you can obviously use 4 fingers to lift the weight, and then it's very easy to see where your hand goes because the carabiner is right underneath it. If you use the inserts, it will make a slight black tick mark. That is a perfect center for this, so you can use that as well. So 3 fingers, you're gonna line it up above the carabiner. Same thing, perfectly stable if you're using it with 2 fingers here. So again, you don't need extra pockets for depth or for different fingers. The only change that will happen when you go down to 1 finger is you can start using the corner here. I don't do finger stacking, so I don't really want to try and show it off, but I have heard of people doing finger stacking in this like mono orientation. So that's going to cover all the groupings of fingers. I have heard of some people training this back edge here. I really think that's just for fun. That wasn't design intent. This is really a stylistic choice, to be honest. But I have heard of people using that. But I have used this as a thin but effective pinch. And actually, I've got only 5 pounds on here, and I can't even pinch this because of the offset nature of the eyelet when you're using this as a pinch. It's outside of where your thumb is, so most of it is trying to get pulled out from your thumb. So this is a very similar action to the 5th element that I make. Not as comfortable, wasn't originally intended for this use, but if you want to do some pinch training, this is like the 5th element in that it's going to be mostly on your thumb. So again, I'm only using 5 pounds. So if you were deadlifting even, you can walk away from your deadlift very tired and still lift this, because you won't be taxing you're going to be focusing your thumb so much that it's not going to be taxing your fingers very much because they're not being used that much, but also you're not going to be putting an additional load on your back. You know, to go do heavy deadlifts and then do a heavy lift from the floor, that's too much for your back. So that's why I made the fifth element, and also how this works is, again, because it's so focused on the thumb that it's not going to bother basically the rest of your body other than your thumb. Again, not nearly as comfortable as the fifth element, not the intended use of it, but it does work if that's what you want to use it for. So a ton of versatility in this one tool for basically most things that you would train your fingers for. All right, so for the last demonstration, this might be for newer climbers, it might be really obvious, but so when you're warming up at the crag, a lot of people like to use a portable hangboard, obviously, and it's pretty typical for it to come with some sort of cordage or whatever. And you can see here, I kind of tried to knot it up, but what makes something good at the crag makes it not so great for gym training. So you would never really want to try and pull weight with this off the ground, because this is far too long. This actually stretches, and that's why long ago I tried to knot this up. But anyways, obviously you would warm up like this. This one is so short that you'd have to add a sling to anyways. I find that that's kind of odd in these devices where it already has a piece of rope on there, and you have to add another sling on there. Seems kind of silly to me, but so on any of our products you can fit a sling. This one I believe is around 13 millimeters. I sell these for $5. So you can easily warm up at the crag. And so you can just girth hitch it onto the hangboard, or if you want, this isn't difficult whatsoever, but you can also clip it right into the carabiner. Your sling might last longer if you use it this way. I do recommend, you don't have to get my sling that I sell, but if you do use a sling that you already have laying around, this is a Black Diamond. I believe it's a 16 millimeter. If it's broken in, it will fit through the eyelet here. But I would recommend use a retired sling, or just use it only for your training / warming up. I just really want to make sure people aren't using it, you know, when if you're going to go climbing with it and use this to support your body weight, just keep it aside. You know, whatever sling you choose to use, keep it separate from your actual climbing gear. So I always check that. So again, my slings aren't rated. I don't think they're particularly weak, but I'd actually prefer that there's nothing on this that can say that this is meant for climbing. This is always just kept separate. So these slings do fit perfect. I also sell a carabiner to go with it, and again, they just, if you use a quick girth hitch on the end here, you can sling it in. And then you can also use the sling if you loop it around. You can use this if you need extra length on anything, or hook it around a tree or anything like that when you're warming up at the crag. So that's the Baby Boss in a nutshell. This is an overview video, but if you liked it, I do have a lot more products coming down the line. I'm actually running Zods in my garage behind here right now as we speak, so a lot more coming down the pipeline. If you have any questions about the Baby Boss or anything else, feel free to hit me up. Email is good. On my website you can try the YouTube comments or Instagram or whatever. I can be found, and hope you enjoyed the video and it helped.